Welcome, kiddies, to the Critique Podcast. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my good friend Godden. And together, we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Oh, we're doing it today, Godden. We got this going.
We are doing it.
We are on. Oh, by the way, I'm Kenny. This is Godden. Here we are. Let's talk about some Tales from the Crypt. We're on season 3, episode 9, Undertaking Palor, and it aired on July 24th, 1991, and it comes to us from Tales from the Crypt. So it's an actual Tales from the Crypt comic. Exciting. Now, regarding the title, Undertaking Palor. I don't know if this is a typo or what they're going for here, but that's not a word. I was thinking Undertaking Parlor because it's like a place, but that wouldn't make much sense either. But Palor, it also means like pale, to be pale, but that's 2 L's. So I don't know what they're doing here. They're all kinds of wrong on this. Watch somebody be like, actually, Kenny, this is Are you looking it up?
I am looking it up to see what else we can grab from it, because you're right. I thought it was Palor with 2 L's, like meaning fear, but I guess it's spelled with 1 L for this episode.
Oh, Palor means fear? I thought it meant like to be pale. Like you look awfully pallor.
With 2 L's, Palor, or however you want to pronounce it. That one means like fear.
Oh,
or 2, yeah. But you're right. That the paleness is right too. But that's with the 1 L. So I don't know if there was a typo.
Oh, Palor is with 1 L with to look pale? Let me look it up now.
Yeah. But the 2 L's is the one where it means fear or striking fear.
Pallor is likely a misspelling of pallor, which means unusual or extreme paleness. Yeah, it is 2 L's, pallor.
Oh, it's just a misspelling. Okay, cool. That makes more sense now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. I probably should have looked into that before I actually said it out loud on a podcast. Well, there you have it. So here we are, Undertaking Palor. Before we dive into this episode, I had a few things we want to take care of here. Disclaimer, we are not professionals or experts. We're just a couple of friends coming on here to just blabber on about one of our favorite TV shows. And we're going to have some opinions about it, and we're going to share them here. If you agree, then that's great. We're all gelling. But if you don't agree, make sure you let us know in the comments, because I want to know what you all think too. It's important for us to build a community around this, and that involves actually, sharing your ideas as well. So feel free to come aboard and let us know what you're thinking. Spoiler warning, we are going to go into great detail about this episode. So if you haven't watched it yet and you're curious about the twist or whatever is happening in here, then make sure to watch it on your own before you actually log in here to hear us go on about it. Oh, that's it. I think we're ready to dive in. Let's find out what it says on the ancient scrolls, inked in human blood on human flesh. Undertaking Palor. They're dying to know. Kids believe a mortician is a murderer and sneak inside the morgue to tape him. Oh boy, that really is just like a really brief brief synopsis there. Let's see here. I've got one here that I've got cooked up for y'all. So here's my version. A group of friends break into a mortuary hoping to sneak a peek at some dead bodies, but they get more than anticipated when they accidentally uncover a dark and twisted conspiracy. The mortician and pharmacist are murdering people for profit. Do these boys have what it takes to expose the truth? Or have they dug themselves in too deep?
You're getting so good at these. It's crazy. Like the only issue I have was the murdering people for profit. But it was, just getting better.
Okay. So that you think that's part of the twist as well? Is the murdering for profit?
Realistically, there's no hard twist in this episode, but yeah, a little bit. But
yeah.
I'm not offended that you put that. It's such a good. Yeah, it's still a good.
You know
synopsis,
what? Yeah. I might just. One of my synopses, I might just really just divulge the whole episode all at once, just to see what you do, just to see your reaction.
Oh my god! Oh, wait, Kenny!
Stop, man! Time out! All right. Well, before we dive in, what are your overall thoughts, your general thoughts, Godden? People are just absolutely waiting on bated breath for you to tell them what you think.
Bated breath. Well, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, there's no like actual hard twist in this episode. Like it's pretty straightforward. I do enjoy it because you're kind of following like a bunch of hooligans just being rebellious, just doing whatever's fun for them, and they kind of end up in a more darker side of their fate. So it's more. It really is. I'm trying to think what it reminds me of, but I might just say that for later. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward episode. Just I have no issues with it. Just no twists at all. But there's so much dialogue, so much fun dialogue in this one.
Yeah, not a lot of twists. That is something that definitely that's a little disappointing going into it, knowing that there's not going to be much of a twist. But I think I know what you're referring to when you say it reminds you of something. I because of the fact that we're following around all these kids for the entire episode, it just reminds me of Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark, like those types of shows. And I think that's actually, we'll get more into it later, but I think that's actually kind of a hindrance to the episode as a whole, because we'll get into it more as we go. But I feel like the writers and everybody involved with this kind of went out of their way in ways that seem kind of weird or maybe clunky to make it not so much like a Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. So we'll get there when we get there. But for now, it's just I liked the episode. I thought it was fun. It was definitely engaging the whole way through, but it was disappointing with how clunky some of the writing seemed to be, and also no twist. So that also kind of adds on to a little bit of a disappointment. But I still liked it though. So let's get into it. So the Crypt Keeper on this one is speaking through a megaphone, and the first thing you see are his dry, crackly lips around his rotting teeth. He says, "Quiet on the set! Deathly quiet. Fond felicitations, fiends, and welcome to the crypt." I love this intro, by the way, because of that close-up on his mouth. You can see all the articulation involved in his lips and mouth area. It's such extraordinary work they did on this show.
Yeah. I was just trying to think what else I had, but I had nothing to add, actually. I'll just repeat what you said.
And it's disappointing thinking about if they were to bring this show back, how would they do that? Would they really bring in all those puppeteers and all the animatronics and all that artisan know-how on building that again? Would they actually go through all of that, or would it just be CGI? I think we both know the answer to that, and it's very disappointing.
I mean, yeah, I could see your sides for it, but yeah, because of like movies like Terrifier, I think they'd still go with the puppetry realistically and animatronics. Like I have a feeling like if it's the same passion, they would do it that way. But yeah, maybe it'd come out more CGI, just something more like just a cash grab. I could also see that, and yeah, like you say, it would be disappointing if they were to do like a modern take.
Yeah, I would. Here's my advice, future makers of Tales from the Crypt. My advice is not to make it look as real as possible and as cutting edge as possible. Because I'm thinking, what if they like mixed up animatronics with a few little green patches on his face here and there so they can green screen in some CGI effects? That's what I'm imagining they would try to do, like try to piece it all together. My advice is don't. Stick to completely practical. I don't want 100% realistic everything. I want to be able to see something on the screen that you can actually reach out and touch. That's important to me. And for a character as beloved as the Crypt Keeper, I think we owe him that, right? The fans want to see it. So as a creator, if you're involved with something like that, I would expect that you would put down the CGI, okay? Put down the computer, okay? And actually make something. You can have CGI in the episode. I don't mind that much, but for the Crypt Keeper, I think it's important that it be an actual thing. So that's a small tangent. Okay. Just anyway, but see how much we enjoy what the Crypt Keeper looks like. To one little tiny blip of an opening like this, where you get that close up of his lips. And next thing you know, my mind start spiraling and just marveling about how good they did back then.
Right.
So he goes on to say, tonight's sordid saga is about a couple of kids with time to kill. See, they're just dying to get in the horror movie business. And if they're lucky, that's exactly what'll happen to them. Lights, camera, action. So that brings us to the opening panel, which is those kids that, the main characters here, all four of them there. And each one of them have their own camera, and they're kind of just, like almost like an action movie pose where they're all like pointing in different directions. It makes me think of that scene in Predator when they're all shooting into the forest at, different spots.
Yeah.
But then behind them, you see all the television screens of, it turns out to be the mortician there holding the knife at him. So kind of a Matrix-y vibe too. If you think about the second Matrix movie when Neo visits the architect. And you see all those TVs behind him?
Oh, yeah. I know you mean that. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that, too. This, of course, is well before that, but it looks like that now.
I just love the simplicity of it, where it's just these four kids, out to make a movie, and like a piece of the episode where they have the mortician wielding the knife. I didn't notice until we started recording, like, oh, yeah, that's him in the background, like, paneled 9 times. So it's very, I don't know. I just like the style of it, where the background's like that, and then they're just in the foreground. It's nice.
The way the panel is done too, it almost has like a sci-fi element to it. Like they're kind of in empty space, like a void of space, almost like they're inside, like like a computer program, like the Matrix or something like that. So part of me was expecting a little bit of sci-fi in there as well, but there's none of that. It just happens to be, the way the panel looks.
Did you have a favorite character of the kids?
Oh,
because I want to see if we have the same one.
My favorite, I think the one who stood out to me, I think, was the original kid who had the camera in the first place. The one who's
I see.
The one whose dad ends up dying.
Yeah.
Who was yours?
I like the fat kid the most. The fat kid had the best lines.
The fat kid? Yeah. The fat kid.
Norman, yeah.
That's what I called him, too. I called him Norman. The fat kid.
Yeah.
But all these kids have names, by the way. I forgot their names multiple times while watching the episode multiple times and like writing up this my little note sheet. So I just refer to them as there's the fat kid, there's the greaser, there's Red Hat, and then there's Short Round, because that last kid is an actor who was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. His name was Short Round in that one.
Wait, that's the same actor?
Yeah, it's also the same kid in the Goonies. He was Data.
I'm double checking, but yeah, no. It's just news to me, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, whenever I see that actor, what is his name? Quan something or something Quan?
Yeah, it's like Ye Quan or something.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but whenever I see him, I just think Short Round. That's one of my favorite roles that he ever did. I love the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I love him in that. The episode opens with three of the four kids are coming out of the movie theater. There's the chubby one, the fat kid, the Red Hat, and the greaser. I call him greaser because he's wearing that black leather jacket. They walk out of a theater, and now this, in case you didn't know, this is HBO, and so they can use profanity in this. And just so you don't think this is a Goosebumps episode, they have these kids coming out, and right away they just start laying in with all the profanity. So they walk out of the theater. They just finished watching a movie. Cuss word after cuss word after cuss word.
It's awesome.
Talking about, the movie they just watched. But I don't know if you noticed, while they're walking out of the theater, you can actually see different movie posters in the background. They had a movie poster for Alien, Lethal Weapon, and then the banner, the marquee up on top of the building was for Radio Flyer. So they had those three movies that were definitely visible. Did you notice any more, or did I miss one?
No, unfortunately, no. I didn't notice till you pointed it out, because I was too busy just being like captured by Norman, like just the way he just took the scene for me. He just talked about his Thin Mints or whatever. He's like, oh, I can't be 53, there's supposed to be 54. Oh, this bucket of popcorn has butter in the end. I love it. It's like, ew, dude. It's like, I was just so focused on what he had to bring to the scene. I was like, who is this kid?
That's right. Yeah, the fat. Yeah, not only was he fat, he had to be fat and counting the Thin Mints that he got to make sure he had exactly enough, and loving all the butter at the bottom of his popcorn bucket.
It's like, okay. Yeah.
Not only is he fat, he's obsessed with food.
Yeah.
So they keep walking until they get to the back alley, and that's where we get our first person perspective, our first point of view shot from somewhere else, and it's actually done in like almost like heat vision, and it looked like the Predator to me. So it's like I kept getting other movie vibes from this. They walked out of a theater, they had all those other movie theater posters up there, and then you get the view from the Predator. And as this person who's seeing them through this view approaches them, they see this hooded figure with like red eyes, and they even say, "Oh my gosh, it's like the Predator." So they actually refer to the Predator. So all the kids kind of scramble away and they get really scared, and then it's the fat kid, I think, who ends up going upstairs up in the alleyway, and he can't get in the door. This hooded figure approaches them, and it turns out to be the fourth friend, Short Round. I'll call him Short Round. And he was just, filming him just to kind of, scare him or whatever. The greaser kid, after everybody gets scared, the greaser kid basically says, you want to be scared? Let's do something really scary. Let's go. How would you like to shake hands with a dead man? And his plan is to actually sneak into the local mortuary to actually videotape real dead bodies. So that's what their plan is. Did you have any thoughts about this opening and introduction of all these characters before we moved on?
No, like I said, I enjoyed all the characters off the bat with just their dialogue felt authentic. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a corny dialogue between the kids. They feel like teenagers, absolutely. And I totally agree when it cued to Short Round, aka Josh, because I looked at the names too. When he was kind of hunting down his friends. He had like an infrared vision. I also thought of the Terminator, but every time it panned back to the group, I was looking for him in the background, like, oh, can I see him pop in before like it goes to his perspective? But it never happened until that one scene where it showed his red eye. And,
that would have been honestly, a nice little Easter egg, huh? When they were walking out of the theaters to see him running across the street or something. That would have been a nice little addition. I wouldn't have noticed it, but the fact that you looked for it, that would have been really clever.
And then I think the last part of the scene where it ties it in was when he's like, "Oh, do you want to shake hands with a dead man?" And it cuts to, I actually don't know the kid's name. It might have been the greaser, it might have been the other one who just had his hand out and slowly goes to the door for the next scene. So
that was a good transition, especially after saying, want to shake hands with a dead man, and then it is the greaser kid who puts his hand out like he's going to shake a hand. He reaches for the mortuary door and it's locked. So I did that scene, that transition did leave an impression on me though. And I kept thinking, okay, maybe this kid's going to die. Maybe that's the hand they're going to shake. I really went there. I really thought that was going to be, we're going to have a death of one of these kids. So I was waiting for that, kind of anticipating that. It never happened. Spoiler alert, but definitely it was an impressionable scene to me, or it was a scene that made an impression on me in a way that I was kind of expecting something from it. So they break into this mortuary. They break in, I say it loosely. They open the window and they climb through. And when they're kind of exploring around this area, there's already a dead body there. They actually remove the covering from a dead body who's already there, and it's a dead woman. And they recognize her. They say, "Oh my gosh, that's the librarian. I didn't know she was sick." So I guess that, if you think of that being the twist, like the fact that the mortician and the pharmacist are up to something, that would kind of be your little clue, like, oh wow, people are dying unexpectedly. But I definitely didn't pay attention to it the first time through. So they're kind of, in the middle of their exploring, a door opens in the distance and they all scatter and they hide. And I actually wrote down where they all hide. I like their hiding spots. So Short Round hid under a table. Red Hat hid in the closet. The greaser hid behind some curtains, which turns out later to be the office, but for now he's just behind the curtains. And the chubby kid hides inside the coffin, which I thought was an interesting spot to hide given their location and given the content matter of this episode.
I don't know. I thought it was the worst spot he could have chose. He really is just in a box. Like, he doesn't know what's happening.
Right. He's the only one who couldn't see anything, right?
Yeah, or hear. Yeah, he's completely oblivious to what's happening. So
Right. So once they all hide and get their spot. Oh, by the way, I like the fact that they all hid in different spots because going forward, you get each kid's individual perspective. So you actually get different angles of the situation. And I thought that was a clever way to kind of make this look different because this scene actually does last a while. This is a big chunk of the episode. And to be honest with you, I really thought the rest of the episode was going to take place right here. When they finally left, I was like kind of a little bit surprised because they do spend a lot of time here.
Mm-hmm.
So the mortician enters and he's holding a pizza and a soda. This is a typical gag, I think, of morticians and people like this in movies and shows is they're always eating while they're doing the most disgusting things. And definitely this show, did that as well. So the mortician notices that the blanket's like kind of down off of the dead woman and he kind of gets a little suspicious, but then he says, "Are you trying to get away from me?" He kind of hams it up with this dead woman. And he even says, "You are always trying to get away from me. After you ignored all of my advances and now I finally have you to myself." So something's going on, right? Something's going on with this mortician. We don't know what it is yet in the episode. So you're kind of guessing like, oh my gosh, is he like having, a relationship with these women or like, what is he doing? What is he up to? So, but then he complains about her smile and he grabs a hammer and just like beats her face in.
Yeah.
Basically breaks her entire face. And then he like rearranges like the bone structure in her skull to make her face look better. And I do have to say, Godden, I do have to be honest. I do marvel at this show's practical effects quite often. But this is one of those episodes where I feel the practical effects were a little lackluster. At no point did I think that this dead woman was at any time a human. It was so completely obvious, like it was a doll. It was like a mannequin.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah.
So I do wish that they would have had an actual human person that they put prosthetics on. Maybe I think that would have been more interesting or more compelling, but it just looked so bad to me. I wasn't happy with it. And he even at one point takes off like so you can see her full chest and stomach, and even that looked like paper mache. It looked really bad. So I was not happy with the practical effects in this particular part.
I see. But to me, I can see why you don't like it, but a good portion of that scene, I kind of felt like, it kind of ties in because when the librarian was like, just laying down or standing up for an hour or two, or however long it takes for morticians to do the process, and he, undresses her. He's like, "Oh no, I left you out for too long." So like, it's like maybe her proportions were off or whatever it was, Like, so I thought with bad what's it called, with bad prop work? No, with bad artistry. What am I trying to say here? With bad makeup effects, whichever, like with the bad effects they have on the doll, it makes it funnier that he reacts in that way. For me, at least. Right.
Yeah, because apparently he left her out too long, and she started to like bloat. He had to cut her open to let out all the gas inside of her, and that's at that point. So from this point here, he cuts her stomach open. It releases all that gas. All the kids react, so you see that it stinks, right? He doesn't react to it stinking. He takes this weird vacuum that he has, he shoves it into her stomach, and starts vacuuming out all of her like organs, and they start splattering into this device. And so you got this disgusting smell. You got all these organs and everything being sucked out of her stomach with this weird gut vacuum. And that's when he decides, okay, now I'm going to open up that box of pizza and I'm going to eat. So while all this is going on, he's eating pizza and drinking his Pepsi. So that's what I meant when, this is very typical when they have these types of characters, do something like eating while they're, handling dead bodies.
Well, they're hungry. They've been handling dead bodies all day. When would you want them to eat? When they're home?
One of my favorite movies that did something like that. Have you seen Arachnophobia?
Oh, like a long time ago.
One of my favorite scenes in that is they're going over the dead body, and they're going over some paperwork, and the mortician actually takes the whatever they're eating, I think it was pizza, and they actually put it on the stomach of the dead body in front of them. So they put it down on the dead body to like sign some paperwork, and then they pick the pizza back up to keep eating. I think it was from arachnophobia.
That sounds somewhat familiar. Let me see. That's so funny. I think it was arachnophobia.
All right. So while this is all going on, this is where who was in the coffin? Fat Kid.
Yeah.
Fat Kid was in the coffin. So at this point, you're right. He can't see. He probably can't hear. He's curious. So the lid opens just a little bit and then it shuts and it makes a sound. So this is where the mortician kind of gets suspicious. He starts to approach the coffin, but then the greaser kid behind the curtain makes a sound to kind of distract him. So they're doing this whole cat and mouse back and forth kind of thing. Your what do you call it? The tension is rising, right? You're kind of getting nervous what's going to happen. And then they're saved by the bell, right? The doorbell rings. So at that point, the mortician goes to answer the door. And while he's gone, all the kids race out and they escape except for that fat kid in the coffin. He gets out of the coffin, but it takes him too long to get out. So by the time the mortician comes back, he's just barely out of the coffin. He has to actually hide under the table. So the rest of the kids are gone. Fat kid's left still watching. And so all he can see from below is their shoes. And that's kind of an important part of the rest of the episode. So he sees somebody in these, what were they, like alligator skin boots or something like that?
Yeah. They're scaled.
Yeah. So the mortician's talking to someone, and this someone basically says, I want my money. So he says, here's your $500. He goes, $500? That's it? He goes, this funeral is only $1,500. I'll be lucky to make half as much as you by the time this is all done. So that's where you kind of get clued in as to something's going on here, right? They're making money off this somehow. So the mortician, I think it's a mortician, or is it I think the pharmacist. The pharmacist says, that's why our next victim is going to be worth more money. Don't worry, I've already prescribed him some faulty inhalers. So something's going on. Someone has some faulty inhalers, and that's pretty much the end of that scene. At that point, we cut to the next day, and they're all walking. This fat kid's telling him what he heard, but none of them believe him. It isn't until they actually come up to Short Round's house, and they see Short Round, he's crying, and he says, my dad died last night. He had an asthma attack. So that's where everything kind of falls together and the kids kind of realize what's going on. Did you have anything you wanted to add about this whole revelation?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you earlier where like this scene in the morgue literally took most of the episode. Like I also thought like maybe we're just stuck here for the rest of the episode, but I'm also kind of glad we weren't because I want to be introduced to more world building because I did like how it starts off with the theater and then the whole alleyway and then now we're at the morgue. But yeah, it was fun with the whole like duck duck goose or the cat and mouse chase where like Norman's about to get caught, so he gets saved by his teammate. And I thought that's going to keep going to all four before the pharmacist came in and, kind of scaled the story. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was sad when we figure out who the pharmacist targeted.
Oh, right.
Like, just was not, I didn't expect that at all. Maybe that's my twist. Like, I did not think it was one of our characters' parents.
Yeah, I guess that could be the twist. Just discovering that it's one of our heroes lost his dad. Yeah, that part's pretty sad. So the kids agree to try to, uncover this whole mystery by going back and filming everything. And the kids even say, we know that some or all of us could be killed. So we're hoping that if you find this footage that we're going to record, that hopefully you can figure out what's going on. And I'm like, that's a pretty big jump. I get that your dad died and you definitely want to get, you definitely want to figure this out. But, putting yours and all of your friends' lives on the line just seemed like quite the big undertaking. No pun intended. So this next scene brings us to the pharmacy. So this is where they have their camera and they're recording. And they're trying to record the pharmacist's shoes because that's all they saw were the shoes. So their plan is to go into the pharmacy. It's I think Red Hat. Red Hat goes into the pharmacy to kind of get the pharmacist to come out from behind the counter. He steals a skin mag. Oh, by the way, they bring up skin mags quite often in this episode. And this is kind of a strange situation, but the kids are saying, you know, oh, blah, 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 you've got a skin mag. You've got a skin mag. He goes, I told you, that was my mom's. It was my mom's. Like, what's that about? A woman's skin mag is very different from a man's skin mag.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Has to be, yeah. There's no way.
I just thought that was interesting. Like, you figure he would have said, like, oh, it's my dad's or something like that. I don't know why. It's weird. It's a weird situation. I don't know.
When you mentioned that, I did remember the line. He says, like, they were right. Masturbation does rot your brain. So stop thinking about stuff like that. Like, about his, like, who killed his parents or whatever. Because that's what they were thinking into the scene. Like, when they were walking towards him, he's like, I told you masturbation is going to rot your brain. So I'm like, oh, it ties in with what you're saying. Like, oh, yeah, there was kind of some sexual themes in a way, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, he steals a magazine. It gets the attention of some of the pharmacists. They come out, and this is where you start to get some, because they're filming a lot of what's happening from here on out. And you get a lot of that weird, strange, forced dialogue that is very uncomfortable, but I don't, like, let me just tell you what's going on here, and you'll see what I mean. So the pharmacists come out, and the kids say, look at the shoes. And then the camera goes down to look at the shoes, right? Like, we get it. We understand what's going on, but the fact that these kids are so, like, line by line telling you exactly what to be looking for. Of course, their shoes don't match, but then the owner of the pharmacy comes out and says, you know, what are you boys doing here? And then the kids say again, look at his shoes. And then the camera goes down, and of course you see that the owner of the pharmacy, this is the one who they've been looking for. This is the one with those alligator skin shoes. A lot of scenes like that where the kids behind the camera are very explicitly saying out loud what you should be looking for or what they're looking for. So I thought that's kind of I don't know if it's like, is it because they're kids and that's just what kids do and they would just say that normally, or is it because they don't trust that the audience could understand what the kids would be looking for? I don't know. It's one of those weird writing things.
I can see your side for that, but I didn't feel that way though when I was listening to what they were saying, because it did seem like they were just excited and they're trying to get evidence. So they were just like, whatever it is, they just point at it and say, do that.
Yeah.
Because when they saw the alligator boots or shoes, the guy's like, that's the guy who killed my dad. It's like, lower your voice. Like, they were just like, being explicit, like just around broad daylight. So like, yeah. I think it's just them being them.
I'm sold. I believe you, because when you were saying that, I just thought about it. When you're a kid, you don't know how to be subtle. You don't know how, right? You don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. So I buy it. Never mind. I'm back on board. So their next plan is, now that they know who the pharmacist is, their next plan is to go look in the mortician's house for evidence. So they go to the home of the mortician. And I think it's Red Hat. Is it Red Hat or is it Fat Kid? One of them. I don't know.
No, I think the Red Hat goes into the morgue with one of the characters later for the finale. I think it was Norman.
Okay, so the fat kid.
I think it was a chubby kid.
So the chubby kid goes and acts like he's gonna give some medication to a mortician. He drops it. And it starts to smoke, right? It starts to burn and sizzle and smoke. And that's where we get more of that weird dialogue from the kids. They go, ha, 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 battery acid. So just in case you didn't know what was going on. So the fat kid runs off. The mortician chases after him. And then that leaves an opening for the rest of the boys to go inside and start to snoop. And while they're snooping around this mortician's house, they find old invoices. And it turns out that the librarian's funeral was actually $5,000, not $1,500 like he had said earlier. So he's lying to the pharmacist about how much money he's pulling in and then not giving the pharmacist enough money. So he's kind of double dipping. He's getting help from the pharmacist for these funerals to make money off of, and then he's lying to the pharmacist about how much money it pulls in, so he's not paying the pharmacist enough. So he's kind of the double bad guy here. So then what? Did anything happen between this and the mortuary scene?
No, they just kind of set up camp and they kind of chose hiding spots and they just waited until the mortician came.
Okay, I guess there was no. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So then they go into the mortician's lair again, the morgue or whatever, and Short Round hides up like in a windowsill somewhere, and he films as the mortician comes in again to, I guess, prepare a body, and the way he does so is so strange. He cuts open this body. He starts pouring in a bunch of like random organs, like some sort of Invader Zim mess or something. Like, what the heck is this guy doing? Then on top of that, he starts pouring in like wood chips. What the heck is he doing?
I think that was my favorite part, because before he prepped the body, he had a bag of chips on him. He eats a chip and then he eventually puts wood chips. I just thought it was kind of silly that's kind of like,
oh right,
how the scene progresses.
Yeah, that's right. He had like a bag of chips on top of him, and he's just like munching on chips while he's doing all of this.
Yeah.
So then enter the pharmacist. So the pharmacist comes in, and this is where he confronts the mortician and says, look, somebody gave me a bunch of your invoices, and I know that you have been making a lot more money than you told me. So, right, I'm going to do something about this. And the mortician says, I thought something like this would happen. If you do anything about it, I'll tell people that you poisoned your wife. So he actually killed his wife. And the pharmacist says, I thought you'd do something like that. So he pulls a gun on him. The mortician says, whoa. I know what this is. It's the fat kid. He's the one who's lying to you like this. Here, look, I have proof. And he grabs a hammer and bashes the pharmacist. And I love that scene. I love just the from the angle it was shot from and the way he was trying to hide it. Like he grabs the hammer and he turns around and whacks him across the. I thought it was good. I thought it was a funny scene. I definitely laughed out loud when I saw that.
Same. It was awesome. I think it's just because it was a smart moment. It's like, oh, here, let me distract you by saying I have evidence, and then quickly grab what he needs is self-defense. But
right, yeah,
it was good.
It happened quickly. It even fooled me. Like I was like, oh, he has evidence, and then he just turns around with a hammer. It was a good reveal. So he takes the pharmacist out by actually pouring the battery acid into his mouth. And he actually says, here's a taste of your own medicine. And I thought this was a pretty decent death scene. I did like it. It looked pretty good. I liked how the foamy residue coming out of his mouth was turning more and more red as it went on. Like it was, I thought it was well done. It looked pretty good.
It was a pretty sweet death. Yeah.
So at this point, all the four boys come out with their video cameras and basically surround him and say, we all know what you did. We have video evidence, so you're done. And this is where the mortician holds him up at night. This is basically the opening panel. The mortician pulls out the knife and says, give me the cameras. They kind of go, they do this whole back and forth thing. And the boys end up overpowering. I think they roll the librarian into him.
Yes.
Yeah, because the librarian's on that weird table that rolls. They roll her into him. He gets knocked down, and they actually shove that gut vacuum into his stomach and suck out all of his organs. And he dies. They took care of it. And we have probably one of the most cringy endings where they all say, look, the librarian, she's smiling. And sure enough, the mannequin on the table has like the most lackluster makeshift smile you can possibly design on a mannequin. It's a very Goosebumps ending. Look, she's smiling. The dead body's smiling.
She's so happy.
Did you have anything you wanted to add on to about the finale there?
Yeah, I'll just touch up a little bit on what you mentioned, because after they push the librarian into the mortician falls onto, I think, maybe the red hat who was pointing the vacuum. He kind of like stabbed himself. They didn't stab him. He kind of fell into it. But after the whole scene, you see like he was realizing like, oh my god, his guts is being vacuumed and his blood is being drained to the sink. like that moment of realization, he's like reaching for the power button on the vacuum. I thought I was like, oh my god, is he gonna get it? I was like kind of rooting for him. I'm like, oh my, okay, you can do it, you can do it. But then yeah, obviously the show had to end. So
Yeah. So that brings us back to the Crypt Keeper, who he's still in the director's chair, and he says, "Oh well, poor Sebastian, a brilliant career gone down the drain." He even does that slurp sound. I really like that part. As for the kiddies, Josh gave up on making movies. Seemed he didn't have the guts. And the others, they became lawyers. Must have been the taste of blood. After all, they were certain they'd got themselves a killer. I mean, who wears shoes like these except a killer? So until next time, see you later, alligator. And that's where you get revealed. He's got his little feet up there, and he's wearing his alligator boots or his alligator shoes. So there you have it with the Crypt Keeper outro.
On the outro, I just love his first line where he says, "A brilliant career going down the drain," because he starts like making his voice more and more deeper. So it just felt more morbid. So I was like, oh, that's really touching. You know?
Oh, yeah. So final thoughts. Well, we already talked about, as far as similarities in having kids as protagonists like this, and in particular, kids as protagonists in horror themed things. You've got the Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark? There's definitely that. It kind of gives Goonies vibes, even though Goonies isn't as horrific. It's more kind of, action adventure, but it still kind of gave off those vibes. People Under the Stairs is a great horror movie with a child protagonist. That was a lot of fun. The Gate, one of my favorite horror movies, also has a bunch of kids as protagonists. So that's also, it's a lot of fun having these types of horror movies with kid heroes. A lot of Stephen King vibes. Stephen King really has a knack for writing youth well. So Stand By Me is one of his more famous ones. The Institute is, I don't think it's been made into a show yet or a movie yet, but it's one of his books where it's all the main characters are kids. And of course there's Stranger Things, right? I guess it's a common trope to have kids be the protagonist in something that's kind of horrific.
Oh yeah, I think it's like the idea of like innocence versus evil kind of thing, because kids are inherently innocent, right? So maybe that's the trope, realistically, with kids.
Yeah. Innocence versus evil. I like that angle. Any others that you can think of? Any other kids that you can think
of? Yeah, mine goes to something more tame. Scooby-Doo, like just a group of hooligans just murder mystery solving. So yeah, that's why I think of first when I saw these kids. Yeah,
and he would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those pesky little kids with their cameras.
It's meddling kids with their cameras.
Oh my gosh, that's good. Yeah. And as far as having unsavory morticians, we have our good friend Ezra in Fitting Punishment. Mm-hmm. I think. See, now Ezra was just penny pinching. He was desecrating dead bodies for the sake of saving some money, right? Cutting people's limbs off to make them shorter, ordering different cheaper woods and hoping that the people wouldn't know the difference for the coffins. So
Smaller coffins.
Ezra, I guess no, because Ezra also killed his nephew ultimately. So I guess everybody's just as bad. Oh my gosh! Any other morticians or evil people like that you can think of? I can't.
No, the only thing I can think of with mortician was a movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, but the morticians weren't bad. It's just they were just the victims. But yeah, it's just the morticians trying to do their job and ended up turning against them, kind of deal.
Oh, there was what was that? Body Bags is like a horror anthology movie with John Carpenter as the host, and John Carpenter plays the mortician, and he's kind of walking around going from body to body, telling you how each one of them died. And then there's also, I think, is it Tales from the Hood, where the person telling you all the stories is also a mortician. So there's definitely a lot of use of morticians in the horror culture.
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah, more. I agree. I like it. I like these.
Morticians, please.
We need more morticians. So how about a score, Godden? What would you give this particular episode?
I think with the lack of twist, I just am used to. Realistically, I might knock it off a couple points, but I might have to just give it something simple as like a 3.7. Realistically, 3.7 cameras. Because it was a fun ride, realistically, but I felt like there was, maybe a couple core things that Tales from the Crypt usually does that is required to bump this up to like a 4+, right? And because it had the gore, it had the comedy dialogue for me, but it still was, like there's something missing for sure.
Yeah. I had fun with this episode. I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was entertaining. I felt like the pacing was pretty good. It's just a mediocre twist. The story was okay. And I think following along with a bunch of kids did make it a lot more fun. And it made the stakes a little higher, I think. Because if there were a bunch of adults who kind of got wind that something was going on and then they snuck in with their cameras, that would kind of be weird. But the fact that it's a bunch of kids doing it, it allows the plot to just keep going forward without you really questioning it. So for that, I liked it too. I'm going to go with a 3.5. 3.5 gut vacuums.
That was fancy, huh? The gut vacuum he has. Because it drains into the sink and it also sucks it up into its into its canister.
Yeah, so. It was like a pulp separator for like a juicer.
Yeah.
All the pulp of the body was going into one cavity, into one area, right? And then all the juice was going down the drain.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, 3.5 from me and a 3.7 from Godden. There you have it. So, yeah, a solid, entertaining, but not necessarily groundbreaking episode. Yeah, it was fun. So that brings us to Horrorespondence. We heard recently from the Jamirian. He writes to us, and this is actually regarding fitting punishment. How fitting, because this episode is also about a mortician. Funny. He says, I agree with y'all. The ending was out of place. It was stellar up until then. But the ending didn't ruin the episode. 4 basketballs.
Did we do basketballs?
Yeah, there were remember he was using a basketball.
No. Like for our rating, did we use basketballs?
I can't remember what we used. What did I use? I don't remember what I don't know what I said. I think I said something of feet walking down the stairs or something.
Yeah,
like that.
or the shoes.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
But the Jamirian goes on to say, "Oh, and Kenny, this is the best synopsis you wrote yet. Great job." So, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm glad that somebody's out there actually paying attention to my little synopses that I write. So thank you so much for that feedback. I appreciate that. I'm still trying to get that job for the synopsis writer.
It might happen. You never know. Keep it up.
Hey, if they ever re-release this box set on Blu-ray or something like that, and they want to revamp all of the descriptions, they should hit me up and we could talk. And yeah, I got them all over here.
Yeah.
So recently I've been telling you guys that we've been getting more correspondence than I can actually reply to. That's not the case this time around. With the holiday seasons, our schedules kind of got a little lopsided. So we actually just recorded last week's episode like 2 days ago. So it's only been a couple of days. So we didn't have that much time to have that many comments built up. So we just got the one this time. But, in the weeks upcoming, depending on how many comments we get, we may not be able to get to all of them. That doesn't mean that just don't make a comment. Comment. The important part is building the community so you can see what other people think and then other people can see what you think. So that's important. Share your ideas, share your thoughts. This is all, even if you disagree and you hate our takes and you think this is the worst episode of the season and you want to say, Kenny, Godden, what are you two thinking? This is like a 0.5 episode. Tell us and tell us why.
Yeah. We want to see why. We want to see why you say that. It's like, it's nice to have multiple perspectives at the end of the day.
That's right.
It builds the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of engagement, I want to try something fun. In the very beginning of this episode, as the boys were walking out of the theater, they walked by the posters for Alien, Lethal Weapon, and then Radio Flyer was up on the marquee up on the top. And I think it'd be fun if you made it this far in the video, comment which of those is your favorite movie or which of those is the best movie. So Alien, Lethal Weapon, or Radio Flyer. And I'll tell you what, one of the boys even refers to The Predator. So that'll be in the mix too. So of those 4 movies, which one's your favorite? Alien, Lethal Weapon, Radio Flyer, or Predator? I know which one's my favorite. Godden, do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite. It is gonna be Alien.
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 I like Alien too. I'm gonna say Predator. I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan. I'm also a big Predator fan, so I would go with Predator of those 4. But yeah, in the comments down below, go ahead and leave your favorite movie that was featured in this episode. So next up is something else that I think is important. Shout outs. I want to shine a light back out there on the horror and in particular Tales from the Crypt community. Creeps of the Crypt is a podcast that I've actually been doing a lot of listening to. So they do the same format we do. They go through all the episodes. You've heard this spiel before. If you're listening to Cryptique, you know about Creeps of the Crypt. Go hit them up. Go tell them that the Cryptique podcast sent you. Same thing with Haddonfield Radio. Same thing with Return, Revenge, Resurrection. I'm going to go ahead and leave all of their information down below if you want to check out their podcasts as well. And there's us, the Cryptique podcast. So my name's Kenny, and just in case you want to hear more of me, I could be found on YouTube as well as Twitch at Too Bad About Kenny. That's TOO Bad About Kenny, as well as the number 2 Bad About Kenny. I review movies, I review books, and I play video games. Come hang out. Godden, where can they find you?
Well, if they want to hear more of me, they can find me on Twitch, streaming games. I don't review movies or books like Kenny does, but maybe one day.
You could start.
But yeah, you can find me. Yeah, I could start. Yeah, you can. But you can find me on Twitch at UAPP06.
All right, everybody. So if you're following along with us, for next week, you want to watch season 3, episode 10, Morning Mess. I don't remember this episode. I don't remember the title. I don't remember the picture that I saw on the front. So this is going to be probably a first watch for me. Until then, kiddies, stay creepy, my friends.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?